Happy Halloween, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. And I know you're expecting a massive video. Well, here it is. We got another analog horror reaction. Been a while since we've done one. I think the last one we did was Midwest Angelica. I'm pretty sure. We've done 4. It was. No, I think the last one I had been. Was it Vita? No, it wasn't Vita Carnis. It was the first one we did was Greylock, then Vita Carnis, then it was Angel Hair, then it was Midwest Angelica, and now up next on deck we got the Monument Mythos. It's been widely praised by everyone that's watched it. So, got me some popcorn, got a drink over there on a coaster, got me a lovely bottle of Guinness. So, without further ado, I say we start. This is a long one, guys, so be ready. In 2011, Riley Talon uploaded 3 videos describing an unforeseen presence in his home. A 4th video in 2013 raised concerns over his safety and prompted an official investigation. All right, upload 1.
Many dimensions intersect with their own, several of which are 2D planes. When 2 or more planes intersect, they form corners. Entities in the intersecting planes cannot perceive each other. They exist separately, in their own worlds. However, the corner folk can pass these boundaries and enter other planes.
Can
The
they?
corner folk are a trans-dimensional species. They are the only ones who can traverse the corners shaped by planes. Coincidentally, I believe that the corners of my own home align with several planes, for I have seen the corner folk in action, crossing the corners from one reality to another.
The fuck is that thing? While making this video, I heard cornfolk and immediately got my camera and recorded it. Brother, you didn't. Was that it? Replay speed. It came out the vent. Analysis.
This leap requires massive amounts of energy that, when released, produces bright blue flashes.
Oh, no, it didn't come out of the vent.
I have yet to discover the source of this energy, and the reason behind the cornerfolk crossings remains unknown.
Upload 2. All right.
While I was at work, my cameras captured up to 12 cornerfolk huddling in the doorway.
No. 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 Okay, say my account needs attention. I don't care. All right, you know what? Fine. I'll pause it here. I'll go attend to my Microsoft. Didn't find the problem, but what the fuck is that? That is supposed to be 12 corner folk, apparently. No. Why is there more than one?
I used to think that they had the cross dimensions
Here's the thing. If I see them huddled like that, I'm moving out.
quickly, but the new
They can have the
is
fucking
proving
house.
otherwise. When I'm not around, they take a break from traveling and exhibit micro-movements similar to dreaming animals. They must feel safe in these corners, which suggests that the corner folk's own home is made of similar structures.
The corner world.
I imagine that their corner world is made of many plane intersections, allowing them to move freely without using up any energy. My photographs show that smaller corner folk have odd impressions on their skin, as though they had been pressed against many plane intersections at once. The corners likely belong to a nursery or a crib in their homeworld. A multitude of corners placed in close proximity could be used to secure the infant from leaving the corner world. Perhaps they only cross corners in search of food, the same way we leave our homes for resources. The corner world may be used to raise young, while my own house's corners serve as rest stops of sorts during their journeys.
And why is there 12?
I've begun to dream of the corner world. I can't stop thinking about it. According to the calendar, I've spent entire weeks in my home, just drawing and describing the corner world on paper. I lost my job last month due to repeated absences.
Again, if I see that shit in the corner of my fucking home, I'm moving. So why the fuck didn't you get out?
But it really does feel like I just left the office this afternoon. When the corner folk jump, it feels as though they're taunting me. But
Like,
I'm close to
haha,
a
you lost
solution.
your job, dumbass.
Regardless of whether my body survives the forces of the corner world or not, this much is certain. The fear of my own destruction will not prevent my entry.
Upload for 2013. What's up, bud? Ooh. The hell? Now, if you knew that's where they were coming from, following his last upload, viewers requested a wellness check on Riley Tillon. Local authorities found Tillon asleep in the corner of his room. Ah, so he was okay. Closer examination revealed that his internal organs had been folded along various axes, warranting immediate medical attention. Okay, never mind. During his recovery, Talion avidly made origami despite claiming that he never taught himself how to do so. As of 2020, he remains in the care of his friends. All right. Now, what did we learn, everyone? Don't look at things like that. All right, here we go. Liberty Lurker. One aspect of construction was the pedestal. Although the statue was intended to be a gift to the U.S. ambassadors, urged us to follow President Grant's request. We agreed, and each month we received varying size requirements for the pedestal. After 4 years, requests to change the size of the pedestal ceased. People wonder why the pedestal is so much taller than the lady. All I tell them is ask the Americans. All right. In 1949, the statue underwent extensive renovations. The official blueprint behind the changes, titled, was classified for 36 years. Until now. And to assist with the eventual departure. Engine. Axle. Wheels. Entrance. Stairs. Drain. Okay. What's that box? Waste storage. Okay. That it? During the summer of 1954, thousands of immigrants described a foul odor while passing through Ellis Island. Ellis Island was awful. The whole place reeked of flesh like a slaughterhouse. Oh, there were also dead birds everywhere. My sister even found one in the toilet. The toilet? If this is how the coast is, my father said, imagine how bad the cities smell. I remember hearing other families half jokingly say they want to return to because of the smell. My family had sprayed perfume and burned candles to keep the stench away, but it would only work for an hour or so until the air became unbearable again. The evenings were so hot, I stayed mostly awake, even though the rest of my family slept soundly. I remember looking out the window each night and seeing lines of people being led to the Liberty statue by officials. After they would go into the pedestal, the officials would leave and nothing else would happen. The following morning would smell so much worse, though, like a slaughterhouse. Ellis Island Immigration Station closed the following November. First sighting of Liberty Lurker. The statue's moving. What the fuck? Upon investigation, local authorities linked the waste storage compartment to a mass grave. If you have family members who were last seen on Ellis Island between those years, you may be entitled to compensation. Wonderful. How much? Rushmore Revenge. Vandalized. Huh, you got the National Monument. The U.S. government can fund mass murder if it's labeled as a national monument. Everyday executions occur in 2,600 American landmarks. The blood of liberty will be avenged. Okay, that was the last one. The souls of Lincoln will be freed. That the last one? Yeah. More messages are found on Mount Rushmore. Infection, it says. I will introduce infection next week, Monday through Sunday, 10:12 to 10:13 p.m. Watch the symptoms. All right. Due to national concerns, the National Park Service assigns patrols 7 nights. The patrols are told, all right, Monday. Anything? You see someone? I don't see anything. Tuesday. I see something. I saw a flashing light there. Wednesday. I don't like that noise. Thursday. Someone there? Friday. You're looking at one spot. There's nothing there. Bud. Saturday. Remove lens cap. Remove lens cap. You dumb sack of shit. Sunday. The fuck? Mount Rushmore smells just like baby powder nowadays. I think it comes from stuff that the workers put on the heads. Yeah, I see them do it all the time. They go from Washington to Lincoln every night, powdering like a baby. The fuck? Hold on, no. The fuck are on their heads? Oh well, Alcatraz attack. Two days before therapy. A Pacific Branch, United States military prison, Alcatraz Island. Yep. The Watchtower. Not for the Justice League, though. The morgue. The yard. Main prison. Ruins. Question mark? Tennis courts. Got tennis courts? Hell yeah, man. The fuck was that? One day before therapy. Alcatrazosis. What the hell's going on there? The hell just happened? Radiation therapy number 1. Red dot. Projected movement. 1950. 1955. 1960. 65. 70. 75. 80. 85. 90. 95. 2000. 2005. 2010. 2015. 2020. 2025. 2030. 2035. 40. 45. Come on. You killed everyone. One day after therapy. That was 2020. The Alcatraz zone extends to the West Texas. Huh. Okay. Interesting. In democracy. Like America's 37th president.
During a program of ABC Evening News, anchor Peter Jennings told viewers to look forward to next week for a special broadcast of national significance. Jennings
Uh-huh.
would continue to remind viewers of the special broadcast over the next 7 nights, even referring to it at one point as the most unprecedented announcement in recent history.
Better
A
be.
week after its first mention, Jennings reminded viewers of the special broadcast one last time, asking them to pay attention later that night for an exclusive look at the greatest gift to the American people. Due to the anticipation built over the week, over 60 million Americans tuned into ABC, waiting for the evening news to end and for the special broadcast to begin.
Okay.
There were countless theories as to what would occur, from the announcement of alien life to the declaration of an all-out nuclear war. Speculation was brewing intensely. Once the evening news program ended, a black screen with a 10-second countdown commenced with the title Dean Democracy. Some viewers, so terrified of the threat of nuclear war, reportedly experienced nervous breakdowns and ran down the street, declaring that Dean Democracy was the code name for an all-out nuclear holocaust. Yet once the countdown ended, all fears were soon replaced with tears of joy and an excitement not seen since the end of World War II.
What are we waiting for? Let's bring them back home.
Dean for president.
In the seconds following James Dean's presidential announcement, hundreds of thousands of neighborhoods erupted into celebration. Although other candidates had promised to end the Vietnam War, none had so accurately expressed the same anger that they had felt, which Dean had perfectly conveyed in a 15-second broadcast. Due to popular demand, the ABC Evening News was canceled the next night, replaced by a 30-minute loop of James Dean's presidential announcement. The broadcast was watched again by over 38 million Americans, and the parties continued for the rest of the week.
Right.
Due to repeated assassination attempts on Robert Kennedy, the Democratic Party presidential debates were canceled for the 1968 election season. However, this proved to be no issue for Dean, as polls indicated that he was in the lead for the entirety of 1967 and 1968, despite having had fewer public appearances and rallies than any other candidate. The strength of his campaign relied on the powerful advertisements he directed that would air every Friday evening on ABC. The series of programs would be considered by many as another weekly TV series and went on to become the highest-rated TV show on television after the conclusion of Star Trek in 1967.
Oh, hell no.
Although a presidential debate was
Those
eventually
damn
scheduled 2 weeks before the
politicians.
election, James Dean instead invited opponent Richard Nixon to a track to race cars on the same night. Although reluctant at first, Nixon eventually agreed and went to spend the entire day with Dean, reportedly even telling the actor, "To hell with it, I'm voting for you. You're already a better president than I'll ever be." This statement, although only a rumor, would spread like wildfire in tabloids and permanently curbed Nixon's chance for victory. On the morning of November
Excellent.
1st, 1968, 4 days before Election Day, anti-Dean groups hijacked radio channels and told civilians they were fed up with James Dean and that television was ruining American youth. After the broadcast, the groups went on to cut hundreds of power lines in the southeast, effectively preventing any of Dean's presidential ads from reaching any household below Tennessee. Dean quickly heard of the incident and, despite the risk of an assassination, flew down to the south and quickly went to work with local electricians to repair the broken power lines. James Dean would be met with a supportive crowd, primarily younger voters who were eager to see a younger face back in the White House. Elderly white conservatives, often the parents of the younger supporters, remained in their houses and occasionally peered through their window blinds to catch a glimpse of the handsome candidate. Although it wasn't known to Dean at the time, hate groups in the South had perpetuated the idea that he was Satan in disguise and cited his good looks and his love for jazz as being clear signs of the
God forbid we got someone that doesn't have CTE brain in the White House. God forbid.
devil.
These damn politicians, why must they always be elderly? What the hell?
James Dean is no man.
Anti-Dean Association.
Elderly white conservatives in the Southeast would be the only demographic unfazed by his campaign. Yet Dean continued to travel from state to state, repairing power lines for 4 days straight until the very morning of the election. On November 5, 1968, James Dean received 75% of the popular vote with 395 electoral votes. Nixon congratulated Dean in a phone call the following morning, but Dean refused to acknowledge the win and instead asked to race cars again at the track.
Huh.
On January 20th, 1969, James Dean held his inaugural address at the official Capitol Raceway. Although presidents in the past had speeches that were typically around 20 minutes, Dean spoke for less than a minute.
I have a speech, and it has the flotsam that you people expect to hear. But that's not fair. No, that's not fair at all. I'm here for all of you. It's only fair that you speak for yourselves. My words shouldn't be louder than yours. So I brought many other guests to speak. They're just people like you and I. In the same time that many other presidents have spoken by themselves, America will speak. Thank you.
Okay.
Dean proceeded to introduce many groups to the microphone, including civil rights activists and Native American families. Martin Luther King Jr. would also come forward to speak in his first appearance since an attempt on his life 9 months prior.
Wait a
President
minute.
Dean would conclude the inauguration with a brief bongo performance and went on to race Richard Nixon at the track. In subsequent presidential inaugurations, those who disagreed with the elected president would instead celebrate Dean Democracy Day and protested by watching Dean's unique take on the address in place of the actual one. In a
April 20th,
televised address,
1969.
President Dean planned to inform Americans of his first 90 days in office. However, 6 seconds into the broadcast, the audio cut out and remained absent for the remainder of the speech. Although anti-Dean groups claimed responsibility and took pride in the sabotage, many civilians claimed that it benefited the president. The silent broadcast highlighted President Dean's sincere facial expressions and lively disposition, as opposed to the stern and stiff personalities of prior administrations. Viewers were proud to see a man in his prime at the most important position in the country. Ironically, President Dean's popularity grew after the technical difficulty, and film director Stanley Kubrick went on to call the broadcast the greatest silent film ever made.
Greatest silent film ever made. James Dean became a president, man. Air Force One Angel. Air Force One Angel. Whether it been an unannounced trip across the continental United States. Many civilians claim I spit popcorn. Many civilians claim to have seen the aircraft drop packages at various moments. Off we go. Whee! Look at it go. And back home. What the hell's going on? Why are you zooming in? Something there. Something there. I should. What the fuck? Well, since later disclosed that the unusual flight was unauthorized and unmanned. The lone figure seen in the plane, dubbed the Air Force One Angel, has yet to be identified by federal authorities. That's supposed to be an angel? That's an alien. Lincoln Looker. Uh-oh.
I was a Lincoln Looker for 2 weeks. It was terrifying. One moment you're at home answering the door, and the next you're stuck in some kind of suit. The smell was awful in there, and the metal seat was so cold. The only thing you can do is look through 2 little holes. It was some kind of mask, and whenever the sun shined near, I could see the inside of it. It was a familiar face. Every few nights, straws would be put through the holes, and someone would feed me some weird soup. After 2 weeks, they found out that they had misidentified me, and I wasn't the correct Lincoln Looker. Reagan apologized to me personally, and I was released with some monetary compensation.
Okay.
They don't care if I talk about it or not. No one would take me seriously. Lincoln looking is just too absurd.
Yeah, what is a Lincoln Looker? What?
There's always that someone that we dislike more than everyone else. Not usually famous or important, but they've done something that's affected us personally. Often you're the only person who remembers this act. And I've been that bad, but memory hurts. Everyone experiences this, and the president is no exception. Except he can do something about it. Every president can choose one person to be a Lincoln Looker. After the alibi is fabricated, the person is abducted from their home, and they stay a Lincoln Looker for as long as the president sits in office. Nobody can question his decision, and it's no trial. You might be surprised, but it's nothing new. It's been a tradition. Lincoln Lookers have been around for a very long time.
Due to rumors that Lincoln Lookers were imprisoned behind presidential portraits, White House officials publicly removed and reinstalled the portraits to okay. Portrait 1. White wall behind portrait. Portrait 2. White wall behind portrait 2. Portrait 3. Oh no.
Hello, we're not available now. Please leave your name and phone number after the beep. We will return your call.
Hey, Eunice. It's Howard. I don't know what I just saw. I was at the top of the steps, reading the inscriptions and talking to visitors, when I started to hear a faint scratching sound. I didn't think much of it at first, but when I got close to the chair, I realized that the scratching was coming from inside the marble. So I went to a guard and asked whether she could do anything about animals that could be trapped in there. She told me not to worry about it, and that they'd take care of it once there were fewer visitors. A few minutes passed, and the scratching became much louder. I went back to the guard and asked what kind of animals usually got stuck in there, and she said, wild animals. The sound started to make visitors anxious. I remember one boy pulling so hard at his mother's hand, begging to leave. A blind girl with one of those canes went up to the chair and pressed her head against it to listen. Then she started crying. Her parents tried to pull her away, but she just began to hit the chair with her cane. That's when the guards asked her to go back down the steps. I don't know why, and it's going to sound crazy, but I felt compelled to help. So I went to the blind girl and joined her in hitting the marble. The guards tried to pin us down, but the scratching became too loud for even them. It sounded like someone was shaving down a chalkboard.
Yeah.
Eventually the marble began to crack. and a few more hits caused the crevice to expand all the way to the top of the chair. There was a sudden burst of air from the damage, and the head suddenly turned toward us. Obviously,
What?
it would fall, so I picked the girl up and went down a few steps. The head slowly rotated back into place, and when it started to be pushed upwards, I took out my camera. It was no wild animal.
Oh, man. Record the following images. Okay. Oh, God. Those things. Washington wormhole. Go. The special tree.
The forest fell swiftly as
Oh.
the lumberjack swung, except for the special tree, which could not be stung. She missed her friends and the hymns they sung, so she started a tune that broke the man's lung.
Ow. Timeline of events. 1840. Fucking that. Oh, the special tree. Is that what we've been seeing? The special tree? Scene 48. Construction begins. (1861 to 1865). Construction halts due to the American Civil War. The war scene being led to the unfinished tower. Okay. Probably executed. 88. It's finished. Construction is complete. Completed. (1910). As a major tourist attraction. Yeah, sounds like it. (1910, 1971). Oh God, there's a lot missing people. 20 individuals disappear while visiting the Washington. Okay. Known to be known as Washington absentees. All right, who's next? Standard operation. Is leaked by news agencies. Oh God, that's not good. Oh, we're gonna watch it? Monument entrance door. Hoisting table. Sound waves. Oh! You killed him. No! Tw 2000. Monument is vandalized. Yeah, good. That's what's going on. The affection is nigh. The music of Washington will end. That's what's going on then. Yeah. 2003. Going on in 03. Oh, the thing comes out the tower. Ew. What? All 19 Washington's apps are unconscious at the base of the monument. You said there was 20. What happened to the last person? I thought there was 20. Delaware double.
An accidental discovery made by two fishermen has sent shockwaves across the nation.
Uh-huh.
Around 4 p.m. on Christmas Eve, Ralph Grassman and Michael Tillin were reeling in the last batch of catfish when something on the ice caught their eye. It looked like a bicorn, one of those hats from way back when, said Grassman, the other of the two who also organized the trip. Grassman walked down the ice to retrieve the hat. When he pulled back the hat from the ice, tumbled back in shock at the sight of a human scalp, partially exposed in the ice. Tillin walked over and after a brief discussion with Grassman, agreed to remove the rest of the body from the ice. The effort took several hours, but by 10 p.m. the fishermen were able to pull the entire body from the ice with no further damage. Although both men had assumed that the individual was already dead for some time, Tim exclaimed in shock when he reportedly saw the individual's eyelid twitch. Grassman suggested to immediately take the body home in an attempt to revive the frozen man. They proceeded to take back to Grassman's apartment. They laid the body in a full bathtub, gradually raising the water's temperature throughout the night to prevent shock. Grassman claims to have learned this technique from a pulp magazine he had read as a child.
Don't listen to magazines, buddy.
An individual briefly regained consciousness and shouted, "Victory or death," while Grassman rested in the living room. By 7 a.m., the frozen individual appeared to have relapsed into a deep coma, which prompted Grassman to phone the local authorities. When asked why he hadn't called medical personnel earlier, Grassman told reporters that he didn't want to risk the lives of the first responders, who had been driving on slippery roads in the dark. Shortly after being phoned, paramedics arrived and rushed the frozen man to the Delaware State Hospital. Throughout the experience, both fishermen thought the individual's face seemed vaguely familiar. It was only when Tillin pulled out a dollar bill that the connection was fully made.
You're joking.
When we first dug him out, we moved his clothes so that we could carry him more easily. The clothes weighed a ton because they were completely frozen over. By then,
You're
we
joking.
saw the clothes without ice, and we could have no doubt that we dug out George Washington. Although Delaware State Hospital has declined to comment on the identity and the condition of the man, Grassman brought the bicorn hat from the previous days to the Delaware History Museum, where historians confirm to be an authentic piece from the 18th century. The validation raised more questions than answers, as further research revealed that no Washington reenactors or artifacts have been reported missing. Grassman believes that the man he dug out from the ice is the true George Washington, and that the former president had become gravely ill while crossing the Delaware River. Grassman claims that the imminent death of Washington could have been devastating to the war effort, so his condition was likely kept secret by having a double acting as the president until 1797. When asked for an explanation to why the body had been found so far from the site of the battle, Grassman replied, "He either drifted away or his men purposely planted it far away so that no one could find it." During Saturday's morning press conference, President Dean shared his thoughts on the discovery in 2 words.
James
I'm
Dean.
surprised.
Wonderful. Journal cease operations. That's it. Rocket fell. Fuck. The recollection of the tragedy. Rockefeller tree tragedy. Rockefeller tree tragedy. Rockefeller tree tragedy.
the first winter of the center's construction, the workers set up a Christmas tree just outside the entrance. It was an uncanny sight to see a green fir stand in the middle of what appeared to be a no-man's land. But this tree, humbly ordained with strings of cranberries, buttons, and tin cans, greatly affected me. It demonstrated that even in the darkest of times, the American people will light the beacons of hope. I thought it could be the start of a great and inspiring tradition, so I traveled north to Babylon in search of a Christmas tree for the following year.
Wonderful. Virginia in Wonderland by Virginia.
For 12 days and 12 nights, Mr. Rockefeller looked for the best tree in the forest. How about this one, Mr. Rockefeller? No, no, it's much too short. How about this one, Mr. Rockefeller? No, no, it's much too tall. How about this one, Mr. Rockefeller? No, no, it's much too average. Mr. Rockefeller soon feared that he would leave empty-handed. Then, on the 12th night, just as he was packing up his stuff, Mr. Rockefeller heard the sweetest tune in the air. It sounded as though the very wind itself had fallen in love. He and his men followed the song and found themselves at the base of a very, very special tree. How
Oh,
about
God.
this one, Mr. Rockefeller?
No.
It's perfect.
They
For
said
the rest of the
no.
night, the men swung their axes at the special tree. Chop, chop, chop. However, when the sun rose, the tree was still standing. Their axes had left no marks at all. Mr. Rockefeller was surprised. The next day, Mr. Rockefeller and his men laid 100 sticks of dynamite around the tree. 3, 2, 1, boom! Yet, the special tree continued to stand. Mr. Rockefeller was surprised. So Mr. Rockefeller
You're not allowed to have
decided
it.
to hire the best team of grave diggers to take the tree out of the ground. After a week of digging, they told Mr. Rockefeller, the tree will be out in 3 years at this rate. Mr. Rockefeller was surprised, but he decided to let the grave diggers work. He would pick the next 3 best trees for the next 3 Christmases. But by the 4th year, the special tree was ready to display.
Took that. All right.
For the last 2 years, I have seldom mentioned the tragedy that occurred at the center. Many have taken offense at my silence, claiming it to be the result of a desensitization to workplace accidents.
You meant for it.
Indeed, I have seen enough accidents in 3 lifetimes, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened at the center. For some time now, my friends have blamed the center's original construction workers for the tragedy, since it was their very own Christmas tree that had started the whole tradition. But the truth is that their tree brought joy and wonder to the public. It was my tree, and my tree alone, that brought about the unprecedented loss.
Okay. So it was your fault. So we're going back.
On a cold December morning in Midtown Manhattan, Rockefeller's men slowly raised the special tree. Heave ho! Heave ho! Heave ho! By the afternoon, the special tree stood tall and still. It was
No
unlike
thanks.
any other tree, having no color, branches, or leaves. The mayor of New York, Mr. Guardia, thought that the tree was too bare and asked for branches to be added so that ornaments could be hung. Mr. Rockefeller didn't agree. He thought the tree was perfect, just the way it was. But since Mayor Guardia had been one of his best friends, Mr. Rockefeller told his men to glue some branches on. I, Virginia, watched as the men placed branches on the special tree. I had saved my money for over 9 months to purchase a little star ornament because I wanted to be the very first person to decorate the Rockefeller Christmas tree. It laid
Let
in
it
my
go
pocket
out.
while I watched because I planned to hang my ornament as soon as the tree was standing. After the final branch had been added and all the men left, I quickly ran up to the tree. But to my astonishment, the lowest branch of the tree was over twice my height. I jumped as high as I could, but still, the lowest branch was out of my reach. I was very
Oh.
disappointed. I wanted to be the very first person to decorate the tree, but now I had no chance.
Yeah, maybe don't. You
Unless
found a
I
ladder.
called my friends. At once, I
What the
began
fuck are
counting
your
my
friends
friends
gonna
on
do?
my fingers. There was Helen,
Damn, only
Carol,
10.
Elizabeth, Alice, Joseph, Elsie, Orville, Edith, Olive, and Philip. 10 friends that I could ask for help. Then I realized that 10 friends standing on each other's shoulders could put me at the very top of the Christmas tree. My star could be the first and the tallest. Without a second to spare, I ran from door to door asking for help. Knock, knock, knock. Helen, are you there? Knock, knock, knock. Charles, are you there? Knock, knock, knock. Elizabeth, are you there? Eventually, I gathered all 10 of my friends at the bottom of the Rockefeller Christmas tree. I told them my plan, to have them all stand on each other and form a ladder for me to climb to the top. My friends understood my excitement, and they quickly started to climb onto each other's shoulders. Ow! Helen had stepped on Charles' fingers. Ow! Charles had stepped on Elizabeth's fingers. Ow! Elizabeth had stepped
Get
on
it.
Alice's fingers. After many groans and tumbles, my friends formed a sturdy ladder, and I began to climb. My joy grew with every passing face, and before I knew it, I was at the very top, looking down at the tree. My ladder of friends swayed back and forth, and occasionally felt like it was about to collapse. But I tuned
It
out
was
the
going
hurt
to.
and focused on the tree. Closer, friends, closer. Then I
And
secured the
fall.
metal star at the top of the tree. It was perfect. Hooray! Victory! I'm the first! Just then, there was a strange sound. The tree began to shake. Its glued branches fell off all at once, and the entire tree slowly bent backwards. Soon, the very top of it touched the ground, forming a perfect arc. It was like a very strange rainbow. My heart sank as I saw my star gently slide to the ground from the tree's top. Bolts of
Aw.
lightning then shot out from inside the arc of the tree, producing thunderous booms. The lightning scared my friends and me. We all tumbled to the ground and ran in all directions.
No,
The
you
lightning
broke
caught up
all
to
your
us.
shit.
I was blinded by a great white light. I
Oh, you
remember when
died.
my eyes adjusted, I was in a field of special trees, and I saw... In a flash, I returned to the street where my friend's special trees,
Wait, what?
and I said...
So many people. One man ran up to me and whispered, "Trees. The trees are not trees." Ah.
In a flash, I returned to the street where my friends and I had been struck by the lightning. We were all on the ground, being attended to by other people. I had scratched my legs badly, and I could see that my friends were also hurt. I looked up at the Rockefeller buildings, and I thought that they looked a little different. The whole street looked a little different, and the special tree was nowhere in sight.
It left. That shit left, bruv.
It is only natural for the reader at this point to wonder why the incident has been referred to as a tragedy. there had been no loss of life, and, aside from a few temporary scorch marks on the center, no damage to the surrounding property. I, too, assumed it was a mostly inconsequential event, likely an electrical accident whose effects were exaggerated by the children at the scene. I was grateful that every life involved had been spared. A death at the
Yeah.
center would have weighed heavily on my mind for
No,
some
wouldn't have.
time. But when I encountered the results of the children's medical examinations, I wished that a death had occurred in place of the unfathomable.
What happened? No. Why do you wish death?
My mom and Pa visited me at the hospital, but they looked completely different. Ma looked worried. After she wiped her tears, she asked, "Did you hang your bear at the Rockefeller tree?" I answered, "It wasn't a bear. I was going to hang a star." To which they asked, "What do you mean?" Pa asked, "Where did you get these clothes?" I answered, "These are my clothes, the ones you helped me put on this morning." To which they asked, "What do you mean?" My
Hell
mom then
happened.
asked, "Why are there dots all over your face?" I answered, "Those are my freckles. I've had them since I was little." To which they asked, "What do you mean?"
You're not their
Our
daughter.
parents quietly left my bed and talked to my friend's parents. Then they all started to cry and yell. The nurses made them leave, which made me feel better. None of us thought that our real parents had visited, but they all did feel familiar. Orville and Philip were especially shaken. They didn't even share the same last name with their parents. The nurses tried to convince us that those who had visited us were our parents, and that we would come around to properly greet them after we healed. But it was hard to believe. Whenever I looked out the window, I saw that Manhattan looked different from memory.
You're not
Mr.
in your
Rockefeller
universe.
himself was kind enough to visit us in the hospital. He asked us whether we were okay, and then after some time, he and the nurses began to ask us some very easy questions about American history. With every reply, they would chuckle and shake their heads, until I told Mr. Rockefeller who I thought he was. He chuckled at first, and then became silent, as if the simple fact had deeply affected him. He had asked all my friends a few more questions about himself, and with each answer, he seemed a little more scared. Mr. Rockefeller quietly stood with the nurses for a while, before he wished us a Merry Christmas and left. That evening, the nurses took x-rays of us to make sure we hadn't broken our ribs. Usually, those taking the x-rays are more than happy to show their patients what the pictures looked like. But when I asked to see them, the nurses ignored me.
Well,
I
damn.
didn't fall
You
asleep
ain't
that
normal.
night. I kept my ear close to the wall to hear what the nurses were saying next door. I heard one sentence over and over. "Everything's backwards." I wonder what they meant by that. I never told my friends because I didn't want to scare them. But I spent the rest of the night with my hand to my chest, wondering if my heart was ever on the right side.
Now we're getting sad. Rockefeller, what did you do?
For several weeks, the children were kept under observation at the Columbia Presbyterian Hospital. I visited them as soon as I had the chance to. All the families of these children were deeply unsettled, for they had all independently come to the conclusion their child had been replaced by a doppelganger. They claimed that these new sons and daughters possessed substantial differences from their real children. The majority of differences involved altered physical attributes and the inability to recognize familiar locations and characters, such as their parents and their homes. Two boys even claimed to have names different to those that their mothers had given them at birth. But of all the discrepancies, the most bizarre was their faulty recollections of notable persons and events. For instance, each of the affected children claimed that I had become the wealthiest man in America through an oil monopoly. It is common knowledge that I did indeed work at an oil refinery in my youth.
Oh, God.
But to entirely deny my 2 terms as president and insist instead that I had always been a mere philanthropist struck me as being particularly odd. The families were agonized by the children's behavior. Some continue to search for their real children. I support their endeavors, for I do not believe that the children's afflictions were the result of hysteria.
Good God.
Every day, I find myself recollecting the day that I had selected the tree. I have since realized the difficulties involved in the removal of it should have repeatedly discouraged me. And had I been discouraged, the families of those children would not be experiencing the anguish that they currently have. Perhaps I never had the opportunity to select another tree. Perhaps I was meant to select that tree regardless of my persistent character. Perhaps we are all trolleys, forced to follow the path of the track to each of our destinations.
All right.
I take solace in that thought. Or perhaps the tree chose me.
The tree chose me. All right, back to this tragedy. How much longer is it? All right, we're almost done. Many, included my father, believed that the 1934 Christmas tree vanished. This is untrue. I have seen it wandering the plaza. Wandering. It resembles a man far more than any tree. That's not good. Oh, we got video. Yee. Okay. How's that? Jesus. Canyon Crown. Me and my brother are deep in thought. He's gonna fly. He falls. Then I saw something really weird. He fell. Damn, everyone got their cameras on them. The fuck is that? It made a whole place smell like wiener. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's nightmare fuel. Rock on. Yeah, man. Then I saw it again. My friend. Oh my god, video quality is shit. You say I saw it, I can't see a damn thing, brother. Is that it? I see something moving. Is that the Mothman? What the? Is it the moon from Majora's Mask? Oh no, we're gonna die. Mr. Squirrel. And then I've seen it again. We did a little research and found out what we saw. It's called Canyon Galleon, or a canyon crown. It used vinegar to shrink its huge head back into its body. My dad said the reason we went on the trip so he could find his sister Maya. Oh. I think that was Maya. What? Freedom Faller. Now here's the thing. This will be the last video of this part, because this will be the end of season 1. Thomas U. Walter, Thomas Crawford, Montgomery Meach, Fernando Zeno. Because I'll find the artist to bring the statue to life. Would you provide a design for the statue? Most certainly. Freedom 1, Freedom 2, Freedom 3. Freedom 2 will do change. I will remove the cap and begin to cast. 6 weeks later. Apologies for the delays. 3 weeks later. Freedom on our way. The Spectres of Phoenix speaking. Mr. Crawford passed away. Mourner will receive freedom. Expect arrival in a month. Ah. Part 2. Daughter.
Aprile. Gli schizzi di Papino della Libertà sono stupendi. Lei assomiglia alla mamma se fosse una regina. Ho chiesto a Papino se potesse fare una statua che mi somigliasse. Ha detto sì. 10 aprile. Oggi Papino è andato al
Went to the studio today. When I asked whether he's doing work on statue, yeah, he kept smiling. I think he's... Papa's very kind.
Papino è molto gentile.
A few days. This happened before since he likes to work at a studio for a long time, but Mom was very worried today. She left for a studio after she tucked me into bed. Mom returned and went straight to her room. They came by and asked us about Papa, and then went to Mom's room. A few moments later, more men showed up. Mama was crying. She kept yelling. She has his eyes. She has his eyes. I was scared. I ran out of the house. Maybe don't do that. But on a ship named Maka, I went to the dots, found her anchored nearby. Next to the ship were some boxes. Parts of freedom were in each box. Called the spear on freedom. I'm very hungry. The boxes are tied with rope. Get out myself. There's a loud noise in the room, like clay being dragged across the floor. Damn. Arrows being cut. Something big coming out of the boxes. Is it Papa? There are more sounds, like wood being broken. Since the ropes broke, I quickly got out of the box, found some bread and fruit in the room next door. Am I wrong? It isn't Papa, but it has his eyes. While I gathered food, I think the men saw me. The box is the only place to hide. Care going to the box again. The ropes keep being broken by the thing with Papa's eyes. He ran away. Went to me to it held as it ran through the jungle. Its sword cut hundreds of trees. I cannot see much in the dark, but I did see Papa's eyes staring down at me from those metal eyelids. It went down a hole. We went down a hole in your cave. After put me down on the ground, it started sharpening sword on the rocks for hours, but never looked endless. Since I have started writing today, I think Papa's eyes has been looking at me. Part 3, Captain.
19 aprile. 6 casse sono state caricate all'alba. Sono pesanti.
Oh, that's
Ciascuna di
done.
esse contiene una parte di una grossa scultura. 29 aprile. Siamo
We
atterrati
landed
a Gibraltar
at
all'alba.
dawn. The
La
ship
nave ci ha
took
messo ore per
hours,
approdare nel
steered to the
porto.
port.
C'erano molti buchi neri postiglio. Ciascuno di essi ha permesso ad enormi quantità
Sunk
d'acqua ad
in 3
entrare.
days.
Senza il catrame saremmo affondati in 3 giorni. Abbiamo aperto le casse per
We
gli
opened the
ufficiali
crates for
dell'autogamma. Le
customs
casse
officers.
stanno
The
vuote.
crates were empty. Oh shit. You probably are about to lose your jobs. Commissioner.
On the morning of April 29th, we received numerous reports regarding a tremendous force that rushed up the rock, which tore down hundreds of trees and created several landslides throughout the previous night. One civilian likened the phenomena to the work of a gigantic crazed fowler. Due to the sheer number of reports and the high level of concern in the surrounding community, I deployed myself along with 13 officers to the rock in search of an explanation. We discovered that there was indeed a newly forged trail through the dense foliage stretching almost the entire height of the rock. The trail was astonishingly linear, with no bends in the path. The cuts to the trees themselves were precise. The downed trees continued to be warm to the touch, presumably due to the extreme speed of this force. A few fires present along the trail were extinguished by fellow officers as we traversed the
Good
rock.
on you.
The path ended at a large crevice in the ground, which looked to be an entrance to a large underground cavern.
Maybe don't go in.
After requesting additional men and equipment, Officer Hadley descended.
I said don't go in.
It was not long until
Does anyone listen?
exclaimed in fright and urged us all to enter. Within the following hour, the majority of us were in the cabin, which appeared to be an undiscovered offshoot of Sir Michael's cave. In the middle of the location stood a plaster model of a tall Greco-Roman statue of a woman. Surrounding this sculpture were the splayed remains of an individual, flattened like a set of clothes. A hollowed-out torso was stretched a quarter of the way up the statue, the sight of which compelled a few of the officers to exit the cabin. The human remains were collected and sent to the morgue, while the sculpture was cleaned and lifted out. The statue's blade, held in its right hand, matched the cuts present on the downed trees. Despite the fantastical implications of this detail, the Gibraltar police force officially concludes that the work of the crazed fella was nothing more than the result of heavy winds. During a secondary investigation, a journal was discovered in the cabin. A translation of its Italian text is in progress.
Oh. Her daughter died. Craftsman.
Arrives the tight-knit wooden ship. The plaster body is absent. Instead, a tall, wounded woman sleeping in its vessel, donning a helmet wrapped in a robe, clutching a sword and a damaged shield. Overheard a conversation with the captain.
Okay.
A violent conflict with freedom at the port in Gibraltar. They tell me inside her is the plaster, and I walk away, silently believing freedom craved liberation so terribly she tried to take it for herself. But off the ship, she was dragged away. Freedom locked up.
Yeah.
Freedom in chains. They tell me I have to take it out of her. So hook, rope, peel, and pull. When it was done, freedom stood motionless. Freedom stood still. I see the final bronze woman, and I feel as if, maybe even hope, she is only dormant now.
Yeah.
And will awaken again.
It's probably what's going to happen. Sculpture. God damn it, Anti-Dean Association or whatever. The Statue of Freedom got shot down by... Okay. Damn. Did you have to do that? Was it you? What the hell is that? What am I looking at here? The hell's in there? The Predator in there? So I have the Predator or a Xenomorph. That's gonna be it for today. Alrighty, that is going to be it for today's video. That was season 1 of the Monument Mythos. If you want me to continue with Monument Mythos, this video's got to get at least 20 likes. If you want me to continue watching Monument Mythos, 20 likes. That's the only way I'll do it again. 20 likes. This was fun. I enjoyed what I have seen so far. So I wouldn't mind watching again, but again, 20 likes on this video. The moment this video hits 20 likes, I'll do season 2. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe for more. Tap the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And I'll see you in the next video. See ya!